let's tackle expanding the park and how best to go about it. Hello and welcome back to Tricolor Gaming with me, Fletcher. And today I'm going to be looking at how we can go from the starting area, which you've seen me build in other parts of this walkthrough series, and how to go about expanding and building more into the park. If you haven't already seen my other sections of this walkthrough, I suggest you go back and have a look at them now, and I'll put some links down below in the description tab. If you're new here, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more from me and all of us at Tricolor Gaming. This is where we left the walkthrough park off last time. We had our lovely starting zone. We gave a nice plaza here with a raised aviary section. And we put our first dinosaur exhibit in, being this Homalocephali group here. But today we're going to look at how to expand the park. And I know a lot of people often have expressed, both when they've been watching me and when I've been talking to them, or if I've seen people on Evolution Square's streams and everything else, that they don't often know where to go after building a starting area. They'll build the beginning, maybe a few enclosures, and then they will get stuck about what to do. Something I'm going to suggest you do is to not necessarily build a park by just continuing to spread outwards like urban sprawl from a starting position. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to leave this starting section and we're going to move to the opposite end of the park. And doing this, you kind of free yourself up from the constraints of what you might have been building. And what we're going to do is we're going to give this park a little focal point at this end. We're going to create a bridge over this river, which we're going to have a little bit of path art around on either side. And we're going to think about how people are going to get across from one side of this river to the other side. And what that enables you to do is to actually sort of build outwards from various points in your park and eventually join the sections together. So, building a bridge in this game. First thing first is we pick a site for it. I've picked this area here. We've got a bit of land over here big enough for the path art I want to do, and at this section as well. And the bridge is fairly wide. Step one is obviously remove the water. There we go. Now we want a fair amount of water to be gone, because we're going to have to do a fair bit of terrain work here to make this work. And what we then want to do from here is we want to raise the terrain up ever so slightly. We don't want it to be too much, just enough. I tend to go for 2 contours. And we want to try and make sure that this is doable on either side. So as you can see here, it's not completely straight. We're going to have to remove a bit more water. It's one of the things I don't like about this game, is that the terrain tools can be somewhat annoying at times. Good. Let's just straighten each section up. There we go. We've got basically a rectangle here. That's our bridge. We won't touch the water or anything at this point. Actually, I might just put a tad in there and a tad in there. And as long as you're careful, as you can see, you shouldn't have any trouble. Now I find when you're doing the bridge, it's best to pick a completely different colour of path to what you might be using in the main park. Now we're using a lot of the grey, so I'm going to go with the decorative orange paneling here, and I'm going to go with the thick path, and we're just going to put in a single straight piece across the bridge span. And let's just turn that crowd view off, and then to help us build the path art coming off, I'm going to do a single section coming off. There we go. So that gives us somewhere to start our path art building. when I get round to it. Obviously, this is a bit of a too sharp angle, so we need to smoothen out the end just a bit to make it less sharp. There we go. And you can see that we've got a very distinct bridge. Now, to make this look like a bridge, there are lots of different methods you can use, lots of different styles you could go for. I'm going to pick which is the style that I tend to use most often. And to do that, you need to start by lining the edge of the bridge with something low that can work as a wall. The planters are a good option for this. What we want to do is we want to place the first one. Don't want it to be too far down. So start by placing one roughly in the middle. Let's see, where's roughly in the middle? About there. And about there. And then just continue building. Now I'm going to place these so close together they merge into each other because of, thanks to the mods I'm using. But even without mods, you can get a pretty good facsimile of this. Now this one is slightly lower down. I don't mind that actually. That gives a nice sort of effect there, I find. And let's put another one down there and in there. So you now have the bridge lined out for you. Something else you can do to, and what I'm going to do to make this a lot more imposing and bridge-like, is to put a couple of monorail spars across the bridge. Now you can choose to either go for a wide bridge, you could go across it. But since this bridge is quite thin, I'm actually going to choose to put the spars alongside. Now that was too close, so I need to move them out a bit further. There you go, and they should be perfectly in line. Are they? I think they are, yes. Good. So there's our bridge spars. If you're going for a very wide bridge, you could have a spar running down the middle and just have gaps so that you get the columns in. But I think for this particular bridge, I'm going to go with this style. Now, something else you can do if you're using mods is to phase power lines into the ends so that you have something in the middle to make it look like they're connected. I'm going to do it for this particular bridge. Obviously, if you're not using mods, you can't do this. But there's other possibilities that you can do. There we go. So there is our bridge. Now, to make it look a little bit more natural, we need to do some terrain editing here. So what I'm going to do is make some this appear like a rocky texture and match it on the other side. And then put in plenty of foliage to disguise the fact that obviously this bridge doesn't really go anywhere, or isn't really needed, I should say. Plenty of vegetation to disguise it. You can also put down rocks, which I'm also going to do for the same effect. Really, when it comes to doing sort of decorative touches like these, Get rid of that. The effect is always going to be limited to a distance. But the more you add to it and improve it, the better it will look. Now for this particular bridge, I want to give it a little bit of some decorative touches. So I'm going to give it some lit flaming pillars at each end. There we go. And I also think we'll put down some lights running down the middle. Or should we put down... I'm not sure. I feel like there needs to be something running down the middle. Actually, what I'll do instead actually is about that halfway point, have a little sculpture area where we'll just put a few bias in building sections down, and we'll give them some proper coloration. We'll go with a nice light orange. There we go. There is our bridge. And like I say, you can be as decorative or as excessive with these as you like. But even without mods, you can make a pretty good bridge by just having this raised path section, making sure there's a line of decorations or something to denote the edge of the bridge line, put a couple of monorail pieces down either side, or power cables, and you will have a perfectly usable bridge without mods at all. Like I said in my last video in the walkthrough, mods do not make good parks. In most good parks are just basic techniques. Now, let's get making the plazas that are going to form either end of the bridge. What I want to create is two circular plazas at either end. So, creating the snowflake skeleton, which we're then going to just join up with curved path. And that's going to create a wonderful curved plaza section there. And what I'm going to do is actually create a pattern inside this. So we want it to be mostly open. Then we're going to create a similar one at this end. Hopefully there will be enough room. Looks like... it's going to be tight, isn't it? Look at that. Now, just about fit. And obviously going from there, you could then do whatever pattern or design you wanted to inside of these plazas. What I want to do is to create a dinosaur footprint pattern in these two plazas. Now, I'm happy to keep these at ground level, but I'm thinking in the next part, we're going to be looking at building a lagoon section, and that's probably going to be lower down than the rest of the park. So this can stay at this current height for the time being. So I've picked the brush I want the path art color to be, this light path color. And we're going to start creating the dinosaur footprint. I want two in each section. So just so that I sort of get a feel for spacing, I'm going to put in the dividing line between the two so I know about how much room I have to work with. Now, a dinosaur footprint can kind of be considered as a circle with 3 triangles coming out of it. So I'm going to start by putting the circle in. Footprint, and then we create the little toe footprint. There we go. So there's our 2 dinosaur footprints. Now we need to make sure that we can cover these in path. So what I found that you have to do when you're doing path art is you kind of just have to go with the flow. If it goes wrong, go back and try to correct the mistake. But really, you just have to sort of be willing to just take your time with it. Switch path thicknesses from one to the other. That definitely helps. And just go with each section slowly but surely, and there we go. There's our first side of this plaza done. We have our lovely pattern here, and we can build around this plaza when we come to expand the park here. And basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this design over here. So I'll be back in a second once that's done. Right, and you join me just on the cusp of finishing off path. And there we have it. There is our dinosaur footprint pathway. The footprints are obviously not perfect, but again, I sometimes think that if elements of parks are too perfect, they look too fake. So the occasional little mistake, the fact that these are not perfectly shaped, that's fine. They're supposed to be dinosaur footprints. That doesn't matter. I'm almost tempted to just indent them ever so slightly. Let's have a look and see what that looks like. Yeah, no, I think we'll just keep it at the same height. But there we go. I think that creates quite a nice little plaza section, and we have our little bridge, and obviously we'll do decoration and stuff around these. There'll be amenities around these, there'll be more parts of the park around these. The point is we've moved away from the starting area and this starting section, and we've given ourselves somewhere to build towards. So really it's filling in this central section here which we need to think about, and how we continue on over here. So next time we'll think about building our lagoon exhibit and lowering the terrain down and doing some additional terrain features at this end of the park so that we can put it in and make it look natural. Don't forget, if you're new, please do consider liking and subscribing for more content and for more of this walkthrough series. And I'll see you in the next part of the walkthrough next time. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.